Sukkos is whacked, man. Sukkos is the craziest freaking holiday. Every other holiday, you know, the non-Jews, they kind of know about. Oh, you eat matzah on Pesach. I buy it when it's on sale 3 months later in the middle of the aisle, and they have those egg noodles, fine. But hoshanos and slamming the hoshanos, and I mean, the whole thing is completely mad. Eating in the hut, I mean, no one knows it, and it's kind of obscure too. You know, kind of like, do like completely chiloni, secular people know about sukkahs? It's like one of those things. Like in Israel, everyone's got a sukkah. But in America, I mean, not everyone's got a sukkah. You don't drive through like reconstructionist kind of neighborhoods. You're like, oh, there's a sukkah. You see, there's a menorah. There's always menorahs in the windows. Never sukkahs, right? So hoshanos. Anyway, I'll go to hoshanos. Seriously, hoshanos is messed up, man. I'm like wondering what is like someone, they walk into a shul and they see a bunch of guys with like a big lemon, freaking leaves, and a palm branch walking around poking each other in the back, because that's what we're doing. I feel like the Lulav companies, and there are Lulav companies, they're owned by like Royal Wine Corp, by the way, owns everything. Coke owns all the non-Jewish stuff, and Royal Wine Corp, they probably own Sabra, they probably own Liebers, I know they own the Manischewitz, and everyone's owned by like one conglomerate company, and they like put their little names on it. So they own the Lulav companies, and the Lulav companies say, hey man, this year we're gonna make extra week tips, and when everyone pokes each other, they'll have to buy a new Lulav, so we won't have leftover ones. You know, you go to Lower East Side, and like the last day of like Lulav buying, we used to go to Lower East Side and buy. It was like the only time we saw Frummies in Manhattan. There's no such thing as Frummies in Manhattan. You ever notice that? There's a couple token black hat guys. There's a couple of those messed up Hasidic guys at Karlbach who like are the rebels of Borough Park. There's no like mamish Frummies in Manhattan. There's none of that. You have to go across the Brooklyn Bridge to see that. Washington Heights is a little enclave. You go to Lower East Side to buy your Lulav. That's where you see them. So we used to go to Lower East Side. We used to eat those little pretzels in the yellow packages that Frummies like to eat. And we'd buy Lulavs. My dad would be hawking with the guy, and you know what happened? My brother, and I feel like Lulavs, I know this might offend people, but Lulavs are like it's like non-Jews, like they have their like lockers, and they have this whole thing about like, you know, male organ envy, as they say in the Frum community. So like, Jews, instead of having penis envy, they have Lulav envy. You know, as the guy comes in, he's got the freaking huge Lulav, and you're like, dude, what's up, man? That's right, he's got the huge Lulav. He's got that like egg-shaped silver esrog holder, like with 3-year-old hair like pouring out of it. He's got the like he's got the hoshanos like wrapped up, and he's like shaking it. It's got that smooth arc of shake. You know, it's got that like the leaves just magically come together at the end. He's got the perfect ties. You know, those guys are like the man. You got the kids, they got the short little dumpy Lulavs, you know? My dad always got the biggest Lulav. I got the next biggest Lulav, and my brother got the little stump. He got a stump, and he got like the worst hoshanos. The aravos were like falling apart. They were like practically, you think he clapped them already. You know what my father calls older women? Iska clap hoshanos. I just have to throw it in there. I already did a video on that, but you know, like, whatever. Like, I'm kind of like weary of hoshanos. You know, it's kind of like wedding dancing. At wedding dancing, I don't want anyone's hands on me. I like walk like this. You know, do the wedding shuffle. You're shuffling around, and then your circle ends, and then you're kind of like stuck in the middle and over. Prior to the circle ending, there's always a little like sweaty palm on my back. And then there's the guy like with the hand like this, you know, like always with the fingers, and you're like, I'm not touching your hand, buddy. You were just eating that soup and picking your nose and not washing your hands in the bathroom. I'm like, I'm not touching it. He got like the hand, like he's wondering where it is. I know there's a guy behind me. I'm thinking like subconsciously that people just leave their hands like that, but really like he's always grasping, and I'm like, no. Just like, you know, like hoshanos, I'm always like, damn, dude, why are you freaking knocking that Lulav tip into me, dog? You know, like, come on. And banging hoshanos is the worst, because first of all, in hoshanos, you can never figure out where the heck they're up to. What's the time we got in that video, man?
4:12.
Okay, good. We're still good, man. 420 sparkling pecan, right? Apparently, if you burn hadassim, they smell like weed. I've never tried it. I don't even smoke, but for all you people, apparently that's true. So, anyway, so like, I can never figure out. They're like, Hashana Lamancha Bereinu. Suddenly they're on some random Perik and like Pirkei, and like it looks like Hoshanos in the Siddur like looks like Pirkei. You can never figure out. It's got like just like, and you're like, and some guy's like Evan Shasiya, and then some guy starts arguing, and they're hacking around, and the rabbi's doing something else, the chazin's doing something else. If the chazan pronounces it a different way, like Hashana Lamancha Bereinu or Hashana Lamancha Bereinu or Beireni, you're like totally mixed up. You don't know what the heck is flying. It's, you know what it's like? It's like in Slichos. In Slichos, you have no idea what's flying. Suddenly they're on Shema Kaleni, you're asleep, they're like, get up. In yeshiva, it used to be like, I'd be sleeping, I'd get up for the Vayavar, Hashem Elpana Vayikra, sit down, have no idea what's flying, and then get up for Shema Kaleni, and that was it. You know, Shoshana's the same thing. Hoshana Rabbah, I'm like, oh my God, you gotta see all this stuff. It takes me like 30 minutes, then there's all that like random stuff with the lines that you get mixed up in, kind of like Dayenu. It's almost like Dayenu. You have no idea what line you're on. You don't, like, the first few verses are really smooth. You're like, Ilu, Hotiana, but then they come to complicated terms. You can't really pronounce it, and suddenly you're trying to pronounce it, but then they're on the next one, and you're like, do I keep going, or do I stop? I don't know what I'm doing, you know? So it's the same thing with Hoshanos. Hoshanos is the same thing. So Hoshana Rabbah, I'm just like, I say all my things, and suddenly, everyone's done with everything, and they're whacking the heck out of their Ravos. And they call them Hoshanas, but I feel like, I don't know why they're called Hoshana. The walk-ins, everything, like, they should differentiate the terms. I don't understand what's going on. So they're banging them. Last year was a conspiracy, man. It should stop at 8. Okay. It's a conspiracy, man, last year, because my Hoshanas, none of the leaves fell off, man. I was freaking whacking them, man. I felt like I was a slave driver, man. I was like hitting the bench. I was hitting the floor. I was like trying to rip them off, and they were like bioengineered, so they shouldn't, you know, whatever. They should start bioengineering freaking esrogs with pitums that don't come off. That's another conspiracy. I remember as a kid, they're like, it's like, you know what it is? Telling a kid not to touch the pitum. It's like, don't eat the nosh in the cupboard above the sink. Are you out of your freaking mind? You tell a kid not to take off the pitum. The first thing I took off was the pitum. I took off the pitum, Pop. I'm gonna get you. That's like you never forget. One of those, you know, start screaming, and then like I love esrogs, man. Esrogs are just funny. I mean, someone made a comment to me, man. I don't know, shake it. It's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. I'm done, man. I'm done.